Welcome to Bolton Model Show 2023, and what a spectacular show we had. This was absolutely incredible, and I think you can see from here just how busy this was. And believe you me, right at the start of the show, it was hard getting around some of the aisles because it was so packed, honeys. And you can see out here, it was a cold day, and then suddenly you can see the massive queue to get in. It took like 25 minutes, but once you're inside, it was slightly warmer. And when everyone got in there, obviously it warmed up the whole place with the amount of people in there. It was rather spectacular. Obviously, we are starting our look at the show today with Bolton's show. They're hosts of the show, so they get to be front and centre, and their display was such a good variety of pretty much everything that modelling is about. From dioramas to large scale and small scale aircraft to cars to bikes. Hey, there was even trams, which makes me very, very happy. There was so much on offer here. The theme of the show was meant to be Ravel's anniversary, the 70th, but I think a lot of tables just took the opportunity to show, you know, what they've done over the festive season as well. This Gripen I thought was spectacular in the splinter camo scheme with the big in behind it, and this G50 with the CL42 next to it was spectacular. I will say a couple of things in the first couple of stands maybe out of focus, just because I actually had a wrong setting on and didn't realise until I'd got home and I'd taken some of the pictures, but everything past the first couple of stands is fine. Sadly, that's the same with this tram scene, which I absolutely adore. And here's a Matilda with this really interesting sort of pastel minty scheme, and little one scene here as well, which is really, really cool. We've got the training aircraft SIG. I've always said there are two SIGs I'd probably join if I was ever to actually join clubs and SIGs again, and that would be the Aerobatic Display Team SIG and the Trainer SIG, because they seem to be my forte as well. And this is superb, especially because there's Alpha Jets there. We all know I love a good Alpha Jet. And obviously a lot of Hawks on display as well. The probably, I'd say at the moment, the most famous British training aircraft potentially. This Bulldog with its Swedish splinter scheme looks absolutely stunning. And then we've got a pair of Kawasaki T4s, which are from Japan. This Alpha Jet again, sorry it's out of focus, but it's beautiful. And then we've got this Moth here as well, which looks so yummy in its yellow scheme. And a T6 with partially yellow, partially camo, which I thought was really an interesting choice. We move on over to 580 modelers then, and these are always a really interesting bunch of displays. They always do subjects that I think are really fascinating and unusual, like this resin fishing scene over here in the corner, which unfortunately I didn't get a proper picture of, a TSR2 in desert scheme. There's just so much on offer on this display. So we're looking at that TSR2 GL1 first, and wow, doesn't it look stunning? And again, I've said this is out of focus massively. I really am annoyed by that, but it looks amazing. Both these dioramas are just absolutely superb, and the use of resin water is amazing. This Lancia Martini car just screams of the decades of many people's use. We're now moving on to Bolton IPMS Flightline. This is a lot of large-scale aircraft, and some of these are absolutely phenomenal. The amount of skill, I'm assuming a lot of them with airbrush for some of these schemes. Like, look at the snake on this; it just looks amazing. I think the snake might be decal, but the wings with the skin aren't, and this one looks entirely like it's all airbrush. Look how smooth and gradient those lines are. And we've got a Westland Whirlwind right at the back, the fighter that everyone forgets about, I feel. And now moving on to the Aggressors and Adverseries. This is, to me, what like a lot of people think of when they think of Top Gun. You know, the companies that are set up to play adversaries or play opponents to training aircraft so that people can get real world experience. And it's a really interesting display because there's a lot of unusual types here. Now, we've obviously got the standard F5 in the Top Gun scheme, but there's a couple of others as well, like this F1 from Japan, which just looks absolutely phenomenal. We're now heading over to York and District. Love the tractors on display here. What an unusual choice. And sorry about the video, this is what I mean with the wrong setting set. A couple of things I thought were right. This is, I think, the last thing which is slightly out of focus. Got this 335 here in British scheme, which I think just looks really unusual. And then we head on to something much newer, this Harrier on a ski jump deck. It just looks phenomenal. The New Zealand SIG here then, one of my favourites, which I'll say it again, I still think needs a CT4 air trainer. Like, come on, get the indigenous aircraft on there. But this Norman Islander looks awesome. I love how they've done the rigging, it's so intricate, and this Spitfire in a pale blue just looks actually really cute. This is Leigh Models and Hobbies then, and they've done mainly dioramas and they look absolutely fantastic, and you'll see with some of the pictures just how insane these dioramas look. This is like the skill level I feel every modeler aspires to get to, because it's amazing. And there's even the right flyer there as well, which I didn't even realise until I watched this back. But look how amazing that looks. Honestly, that could be in like a TV show. And same with the Star Wars scene on Tatooine. Like, honestly, slay. Like, wow, it looks so good. This is the Luftwaffe SIG, if you couldn't tell. And obviously it focuses on the Luftwaffe past and present. So we go all the way from the historic, you know, World War II aircraft all the way up to the modern day. I really love looking at, you know, some of the size of these aircraft. And next to it was the JASTA 124 SIG as well. This A400 is awesome. I love the A400. Such an amazing looking aircraft. There's a Hunting Percival here as well. And I think this is JU288 if I remember correctly, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And this G91 looks gorgeous, especially with the teeth on it. And a JU52, I mean, what a classic, right? How could you not love it? If you couldn't guess, this is the Lightning SIG, looking at the English Electric, later BAC Lightning. We're looking at what I think are some of the most well-known schemes here. So we've got the all grey finish and then the green. Obviously the other finishes are like camouflage or silver, and there were the export variants as well. So it'd be really interesting to see them on the table, hopefully in the future as well. We've got IPMS Cleveland here then, and again, a really varied display, and I love to see how many dioramas are starting to come in. Even just basing the model can add so much to it. But I get for a lot of people it might also be an expense or a skill they don't have. So, you know, I don't mind seeing either of them. I think everything looks amazing and it's so cool. And I love that they've got so much sci-fi on here, particularly the thing at the end, which try not to spoil for you, but you're going to see in a second. The ploughing scene, I know we've done a couple of close-ups of that previously because it's so unique. We've got some Gunpla here and Digimon. And then we've got Serenity from obviously the amazing cult TV show Firefly and the movie Serenity, which fly like a leaf on the wind, like, oh yeah, love it. Davros and a Dalek here as well, which just look awesome. And then more realistic things like this Canberra PR9 and the I think the final scheme it had, which looks awesome. And I think this is a kamikaze bomb, flying bomb basically, and the C-130 because I have to take it because of my dad. This is Keighley then, as I've been told it's said, not Keighley as I always used to say, so I do apologise for all the shows I've done over the last year where I've said your name incorrectly, and hopefully I've said it, if not correct, at least more correct today. Another really varied display, awesome. You can see their model shows advertised on there as well. This ship was phenomenal, like the detail on this, oh my god. And the fact that all the people are painted so well is just stunning. This is just like what I aspire to ever get to. Like when you see the close-up of the planes, like look at the people, oh my god. Like how does someone do that? We've got a Westlander Wyvern here, the famed aircraft that sounded like a jet, and then there's anti-aircraft scene here as well in the cold harsh winter, which is quite a contrast to the tavern scene here. Then we've got SM73 here, which is an Italian transport aircraft sold to Belgian Airlines. and some trains here as well, which is something I feel is always really underrepresented at model shows, probably because they tend to go to train shows instead, but there were a lot of train kits, so it's quite a shame. Oh, and this fox, it's just cute. I think this was still Keighley. If it's not, please let me know in the comments and I'll correct it later on. We're also now at Stoke-on-Trent, and this is a former hub of mine, so I know them quite well, and they always put on a really good display. Not that I'm biased or anything, obviously, but no, it's a really stunning display. They've gone from strength to strength over the last couple of years especially, and it's a club that seems to be growing really well as well, which is good because, you know, modelling is something I feel is quite hard to grow sometimes. And they've got Rubicon models next to them as well, because a couple of their members' relationship with Rubicon models, so yeah, we'll see that as well. This, again, use of resin is just amazing. Seeing the tank underwater, it's so unusual, so stunning. Got a lot of dioramas here as well. There's an exploded tank view as well, which I think looks amazing. And there's so much creativity put into all these things. Honestly, it's amazing. And obviously, I think it is a Katusha at the back as well, which we'll see a close-up of later on. But yeah, honestly, so nailed it with this. Love seeing this as well. The defence of the Reich. This was a more unusual scene, but I thought it warranted a bit of a close-up because everyone was talking about it. And this dual Hawker Typhoon was amazing. And the Sky Raider on the Falklands Defence Flight in 1980 looks amazing. And this was just really unusual again as well. Like, Red Bull truck? What? Really, really cool display. I like seeing, you know, all these displays with so much variety involved. It's just nice, you know, to show that modelling is more than just making planes, even though that's what I stick to. And, you know, even this Nantucket we're seeing now, which is the F-14 SIG, I've got things that aren't F-14s because it doesn't have to always be the exact subject, it can be related to it. And this is obviously very Top Gun themed, which, I mean, who can blame them? The only thing I think is potentially missing now is they could build a Top Gun F-14 from the new film, where it's in the Rogue Nation, which is definitely not Iran. Next up to that is the Tornado SIG, and I thought the Gulf War one on the right was really, really clever, a really unique way of presenting a piece of history, really. But yeah, the Tornadoes I always think are interesting because the Italians and Germans seem to make much more interesting display schemes than the British ever did, particularly with one of the last ones for Italy, which we'll see in a moment, which I remember seeing at Fairford. But like this one, this is the one I was on about. That's stunning, right? Regardless of the airplane, it's stunning. And this one on Germany, I think is kind of camp, but I love it, especially because it's in German colours. This is the Leopard main battle tank SIG. We all know tanks aren't my forte at this point, and that's absolutely fine. Not everything has to be everyone's forte. However, I thought there were some really unique examples here. I'm glad that a lot of things had little like signs on them so you could tell what they are, because someone like me who doesn't know a lot about tanks wouldn't know. So this is like an unmodified reference vehicle in Spain. This is an LA-5DK from the Jutland Dragoon Regiment. And these are obviously tank transports that are carrying the Leopard. So yeah, really cool to see those. I mean, if someone who doesn't love tanks is loving it, you're doing well. Shropshire scale modelers are coming up next then, and okay, I got really hooked on a couple of things on here, and I'm not trying to disrespect anyone else's models because they are all absolutely amazing, but there's definitely like one thing in particular that absolutely hooked my attention on here, and you can see it there, the BAE 146, which was done in the military tactical transport colours. It's just amazing. This is in, I think, 1/72nd scale, and I just love it. I love it. I've always loved this aircraft, and I've always thought it's a shame it never really took off in the military transport aircraft market. And then we've got Poseidon next to it again, same scale. Just amazing work, you guys. No, this was really unique. Like, I went, do you want to see something different? Put aside it, and the force of this, like, you can see it slightly, it's literally like shaking what it was on. It's so powerful, so cool, like a steampunk beetle. Just absolutely incredible. I love this. Didn't expect to see something like this today. Always glad when I do see something like this though, because it's so unique and just so gorgeous. This is the modern British Armour SIG. Again, as we said with Leopard, not something I'm particularly knowledgeable about, But these dioramas always hook me, regardless of what the subject is. I think these are really good ways of presenting history, presenting, you know, pieces of our past that we just want to explain in a different way or show how scary or real things were. Speaking of which, we've got Russian wheels and tracks next, which also have a couple of dioramas, which I've seen a few times at this point, and I will show again today. This one is really obviously quite hard to look at. And then we've got this rescue vehicle here as well. We've got a couple of, you know, more scary weapons on the table. And as I mentioned before as well, the diorama, this is the checkpoint for the Russians. And yeah, it's a bit of an, I don't know, I feel awkward talking about the SIG, but, you know, this appreciation existed before what happened. We've got the UK Army Aviation SIG and Models for Heroes, which for some reason I combined the footage, so I do apologise, but they are different tables. We're looking at the UK Army Aviation table first of all, and the autogyros, this never stops making me smile whenever I've looked at this. And this is just such a commanding pose. It's awesome with the Land Rover, and this is filled with helicopters. It's so cute. And then we're heading over to Models for Heroes, starting with this English Electric Lightning, which is in a different scheme to what we saw earlier. Gorgeous. Winston Churchill here on like a podium, and then Operation Nimrod from 1980 here as well. Love the difference that Models for Heroes bring. They always do different stuff, and they do such amazing work. You should always check out their website and support them if you have the ability to do so. And they also accept Airfix tokens. Now, I have spoken over them a little bit, but this is Northwest Car and Motorcycle Club. Again, something I'm not too familiar with, but I always try and pick out the things that really appeal to me, and I've always loved Shell's stuff. Not so much the company, obviously, but they just look amazing. And this is a lot of, I think, is it Hatsune Miku stuff, which is just amazing. And then these two motorcycles on this spinning turntable, just the red and yellow just look so fabulous together, though I sort of wish it was turning the other way around, because then it would do donuts. We've also got the Hot Rod and Customs SIG next to it. Such an unusual SIG, and I remember them speaking to a couple of people next to it saying, you know, a lot of things they'd started 3D printing, or they'd done custom shells on top of existing kits. It's really interesting. This must be something where you can just go, here's an idea, I'm just going to try and do it, and you just sort of run with it. It's mad. I love it. And these bubble cars. Well, come on, we need to make bubble cars a thing again, because they look amazing. And then carrying this go-kart on the back of this one is superb. Amazing. Makes me smile, and that's someone who's not into it, so again, you know, you're doing something right. F1 and Motorsport SIG here then. Lots of different displays on colour available on this display. It just looks so good, doesn't it? So much available, it just looks so good. I love it, and it's really spaced out as well. Like, this display is actually really, really well done, because it's not too crowded, it's not too empty either. Yeah, it's just lovely. I picked out a couple of my favourite examples, the Ford here, which I just really love the colour scheme on, and I really love the gradient on this one, just heading to the back, fading to the almost white, and again, another shell car. I don't know, the red and yellow just makes me happy, right? Similar car again, Nissan, but in a different sponsor scheme now as well. We then head over to Harrogate Model Club, and this, they said a lot of these were reviews, samples or reviews kits that you can see. Obviously one of them there, the Hawk that went into I'm seeing it, and I thought this was a really nice display. A couple of things here I've always been curious about, like the Brigette there from KP Models, and this is your full-on Spant 510, which I have actually in my stash to build, because it was the last French biplane, really the equivalent of their CL42 that I've always wanted to build it. Here's a close-up for the Brigette 14 that I was mentioning a moment earlier, and here's the Hawk that they built, and doesn't it just look absolutely stunning? A couple of Panzers here as well, just looking gorgeous, quite frankly. And then we're on to film Fangs. Well, late, but I couldn't get too much of this just because it was a really busy stand, because obviously it's something people get really, you know, attracted to. It's so different on, you know, the modelling scene, and I'm glad it's here. And I just took a couple of pictures of what I could. So here's Catwoman here, crawling around, and then the Invisible Man, I'm supposing this is. If I'm wrong, I'm going to get slaughtered in the comments. But after that, we are heading over to Coventry and Warwickshire. There is a good mix of things available on this stand, from really unusually painted B-17s to aircraft that are rusting away in a field. Again, dioramas seem to be coming front and centre on almost every single display. I'm assuming that's the new Airfix KT maybe? I don't know. I can't tell the difference between the two main kits that are available. I'm assuming my friend Sally would probably like this B25 Mitchell because, you know, heavily weathered. I'm sure he'd love to put a bird's nest or two in that. This F4 in the hangar looks superb. We'll get a close-up of that one as well because it looks so realistic. It's amazing. And then we've got some of the, I think they are Revell Germany, the Richthofen over there as well. So there's the B25, the Talassi Mitchell. Oh, just look at the weathering. It just looks amazing. I wish I could do stuff like that. And same with this Phantom, getting service, just it's amazing. Ghost of Kiev here, you know, we all know it's a legend by now, a myth, but it's become such a cultural phenomenon. And the Red Baron now, we mentioned a moment ago. This is the what if SIG then. So this is, you know, what if this had happened? What if this had been developed or sold here or, you know, whatever. So some things are semi-realistic, some things are really out there, some things are just sort of paper projects, you know, things that never actually came to fruition but were in development, such as these Saunders Row rocket fighters over here. So there's a lot of things you may recognise, a lot of things that are development of existing aircraft, and I'm sure you think that about a lot of things. This one I didn't really think about until afterwards, but I think, is it development of a Mosquito, like a tilt rotor? Obviously a YF-23 here in RAF colours, which looks superb, and I wish I had a half truck for shopping because that looks amazing. Estonian Spitfire here looks actually beautiful, nailed it. Project Cancelled is similar to What If, but these are all things that were in development, I understand, but then were cancelled. So things that, you know, had legs and were potentially paper projects, not necessarily works of fiction, and then were eventually cancelled. Hence all the TSR2s there in all the various schemes, which I just think look amazing. I mean, I wish TSR2 had become a thing. I don't know, maybe life's meant to be the way it is right now, but it's just such a gorgeous looking aircraft, isn't it? And we've got the F111 as well, and the Arctic scheme one is superb. I adore that one. There's also a really interesting P47 there, a Jet P47, which I never even knew was a thing. And a couple of Buccaneers up here as well. F35, and yeah, here's the P47 Jet variant, which is so MiG-9, I love it. A Finnish MC202 or 205, and I'm assuming this is an Arrow? I think it's an Arrow, judging by the sort of general shape of it. The F111, as I mentioned, in Arctic camouflage here as well, looks gorgeous. Now, I didn't ask the name of the SIG because I thought I knew which SIG it was, and then I've realised it might not even be a SIG, it could be another display, and now I'm really unsure, and I'm really sorry. I thought this was the Airfix SIG, because they always had a brown tablecloth normally at shows. And then going away, I've realised there's an A380 in Emirates in the middle, which is Revell. So whether or not it is their SIG, and they just didn't display the name due to its being Revell Celebration or not, I'm not sure. Either way, if you let me know the name of the SIG in the comments, I'll try and update the timestamps or whatever, so that, you know, I can list you appropriately. But the display was stunning, particularly the A380. I know it's probably what everyone took pictures of. The dioramas, obviously, I've tried to capture different aspects of them, but this was just such a stunning aircraft, and I'm blown away by the fact that it's cut down the side. I don't know how you do that. It must take so much patience and skill, because look at that. And like, in fact, everyone's lined up in there. It gives me so much inspiration for doing sort of some of the large projects I have, because that's incredible. Honestly, whoever did that, absolutely superb job. Right then, so we've got to move on to the next SIG here, and it's well, not SIG, it's Warrington's display. Oh, look at the Barracuda there, such a fugly aircraft. But at the same time, it's kind of cute, right? Not one of the ones we're going to focus on the close-up of here. We're going to look at some of the Russian aircraft here. So we've got this glorious Sukhoi here. Again, I know it's a bit of an unusual subject at the moment. There's Dornier, the flying pencil, and this Saab Lance in here as well, which I've always thought is prettier than the Hunter. Yes, I know I'm a traitor, but whatever. And a Ferry Gannet, which of course we're all looking forward to the Airfix release of this year as well. JASTA's club here then, very, very armour heavy, but other things are present as well, such as the ship in the middle, and a couple of things in sort of the Berlin camouflage scheme, which is sort of the brown, grey, white scheme, if my knowledge banks are storing correctly. So the first one here is obviously a scouting vehicle. People on here look so active, and then I think it's Chieftain, right? And that looks awesome. This is a Hungarian tank, I believe, judging by the markings on here. And obviously we've got a B-25 Mitchell here in RAF service as well. Polish squadron, I'm assuming by the Polish markings on it. And a Hind, which is a weapon of great fear to many people, but obviously seeing that at RIA this year from Hungary and Czech Republic as well, stunning. The next stand we are looking at then is the British Bulldogs, the Kipling branch of the British Bulldogs. I just realised there's a dragon in the middle I didn't get a proper picture of, and the dragon in the middle, aptly, also looking amazing. We'll obviously get a picture of that because it just looks so phenomenal. Very armour heavy as well otherwise, but you know, different strokes for different folks. But this dragon, I just, wow, like the airbrush skill on that is absolutely superb. And then we've got the sort of upgrade of the ME-262 with the swept wings. And this Gucci figure I just thought looked amazing. This Victorian era British Army figure just looks amazing as well. So well painted. This is Crewe's then, so I think it's South Cheshire, Crewe IPMS. And the thing that I think everyone wanted to look at was the Dambusters thing on the end, the little sort of photo box that we'll see in a moment. And I'm sure you already know that I'm going to take pictures of maybe Italian aircraft on this table, but you know, that's just who I am. I love Italian sort of 30s and 40s aviation. It's just gorgeous. So, you know, this is the best shot I think I could get of it. Tried to do it on lower ISO so that it sort of looks more like a painting, and I think it does. It's an amazing, amazing box. We've got this Kant aircraft as well here. This is the Italian sort of most successful tri-motor bomber, and then the SM-79, which is their most numerous, that ended up as a torpedo bomber. So yeah, Italian aircraft, I'm always a sucker for them. And Darth Vader appeared in the middle of the aisle whilst I was going through, so got a quick picture of them before heading over to Edinburgh Model Club. Now, I was surprised these guys were here. I thought this was a really long drive for them to do. It must be 4-5 hours for them to get here. Quite a commitment, but I'm glad they are here because they're a club I never really see, bar at Telford, and I'm assuming again that's because of distance and because I don't go to Scottish shows because of distance for me. So yeah, really nice to see them here. They had a heavy Israeli focus on the left. There's the Egyptian Spitfire, which fought against the BF-109 knockoff, the Aviation S-199, which I built in 1/72nd. And there's also an IAR-81 here as well, which just, I love that aircraft. Again, such an unusual piece of history. So following on from Edinburgh, we've got West of Scotland's club, and their purple cloth underneath it makes them really distinct. A lot of sort of cartoony figures on there as well, which is always really nice to see. I say it's nice to show the diversity that modelling can have. It doesn't have to be sort of serious historical figures. It can be literally anything you want to be, and I think that's always really nice when it is presented because it's sometimes so often overlooked. Although I will say the seaplane just, how do they do water so well, guys? Like, one day when I've got a bigger house I'll do water, but for now. And here's a tank that's been all graffiti. I think this is one that was in the Czech Republic if I remember correctly, and an NHS tank as well, which I think looks really cool. Something from the Mandalorian here, getting refilled I'm assuming. Oh, this looks really cool actually, and the figures are really well done as well. Here's a German submarine here. Look at the size of that weapon on the side of it. Just amazing. I can't believe how well they did the gradients on the beard on that either. Again, look at the water on this. This is what I'm mentioning earlier. Look how amazing it looks. And everyone's favourite, say it with me, Bayraktar. Everyone knows that song by now, right? Now, this club is one that we saw at Stoke, if I remember right, and I've got the name right. It's the UK modelling community, and they have sort of, I want to say mega blocks, sort of Lego building blocks. There we go, building blocks figures on there. The Pelican and Banshee from Halo, and they look really, really cool. And there's a Warthog here as well with a couple of troops on them, and a Spartan. I think these are really cool. I think these definitely have a place in the modelling community, and I think it's a good crossover. Riding over to Wolverhampton, who are next to the Spanish Civil War SIG, so you'll see part of their table as we go through Wolverhampton's. They do a lot of made up stuff, which I think is awesome. Basically kit bashes, throwing two things together and seeing if it sticks. And you see one of them at the end now, which is like a TSR2 with a Vulcan wing, which is like, how do you think of this? Because I could never think of this. So yeah, there you see it, the TSR2 with the Vulcan wing, or I think that's what it is. It looks amazing, especially with like the Digi modern camo on it. The Hano plane there as well next to it. And then this Tri-Lightning, just terrifyingly beautiful. And then a Harrier with an Apache cockpit that actually looks like it would be something out of like a fictional universe, and I love it. Spanish Civil War here then, so this is basically dioramas from the Spanish Civil War, and I always love this table as well. I try not to have favourites, but there are some that just I think really capture the imagination for me. And these dioramas are just always so well done and filled with so much emotion and passion. And the Spanish Civil War is something I feel is always really overlooked in European history. I think these are some CV-33s, right? The Italian tanks? Well, tankettes really. But yeah, I love seeing this display. I think they're so well crafted. Dioramas can be so easy to mess up, and every single one of these is absolutely perfect. Like, absolute kudos to you. You do so well with your work. Next to that then is Wirral. So Wirral's IPMS group here, and a lot of Japanese aircraft, which I think is nice because they can be a subject that's sometimes forgotten as well. The cars on here, I think that's the Airfix kits in the middle. They look really, really nice. And there's a Spitfire and BF-109 next to each other. The Bucaro there as well, the Argentinian Queen aircraft, which I think is actually really kind of gorgeous. Even though I know we're meant to not love it, but I think it's gorgeous. This MiG-29's camouflage is just perfectly done, amazing. And the Battle of Britain, I'm assuming, BF-109 and Spitfire next to each other too. And this massive mobile gun from Germany, and this firefighting scene here, which is very, very dramatic. Following on from Wirral, then we have Merseyside, who really went, oh, the theme's Ravel 70th? Yeah, we'll do that. And they just ran with it. This is probably the most Ravel heavy table at the entire show. I was glad that someone really just went all out with Ravel. I love their stands so much, especially because they got so much historic Ravel stuff, like the historic Ravel paints, the old sort of glue like selling box. Like Merseyside just popped off with this. I love this. This is one of my favourite stands of the show this year, purely because they really ran with the theme. It's just amazing. And obviously they've got the MC200, two of them there, which I can't say no. I love the MC200. I love all Italian aircraft. Next up then, we've got Manchester. And they had a really cool system where you could vote for your favourite aircraft. So everything, well, I say aircraft, favourite model, there was just a lot of aircraft. Well, that was mainly my favourites because I'm really biased. But yeah, they've got numbers next to every single thing, and at the end of the table they've got a box where you can write on a slip and vote for your favourite. I'm assuming you're all going to guess which one I voted for. I'll tell you after we've gone through the entire stand. Although, let's be honest, that SU-25 in the middle is like, it really is show-stopping. That's an absolutely incredible piece of work there. I really do like the L-39 in the middle though as well, the Ukrainian one. And some of the World War I aircraft have been done to an amazing standard as well. Yeah, and oh, the J20 and the J10 next to each other, gorgeous. I built both of these kits before. They're on my website, but I haven't done videos of them yet. But I'm planning to do videos of them in the future, so let me know if those are things you're excited for. I wonder if 29 could have been my guess, guys, the Pistello. Who knows? It was. It's Italian, so I had to vote for it. This Apache I thought was cool though. I love how well the fabric covering's been done at the front as well, and like I say, Model 1 aircraft, the Albatross, just amazing. Just a quick Star Wars break again then, because they were there whilst I was filming, and whilst we headed over from Manchester, we go to Sutton Spartans, and a really vibrant, colourful, playful display. Always love their display. I love the stands as well, with sort of the crayons on them, you know, the non-distinct branding on them. I've got Enterprise here with working lights, which just looks amazing. Tried to get as still as I could whilst doing that. And the MBB BO105, which I've seen flying at Fairford before, and the Super Etendard, which I can never say properly, and a Spanish Mirage. I always think people forget that Spain had the Mirages. We've got IPMS Tyneside next then, and I like the stand. They've got so much new stuff. These figures in the middle were amazing. I don't think I put any of them sort of specifically in, but they've also got things like Jinx from League of Legends there, which I think is amazing. We've got a really unique selection of subjects here, including sort of a Caravel in Alitalia scheme, the old carrier for Italy, which I really loved that. And these troops trying to stay warm whilst getting some supplies from the vehicle. And then we've got the United States Air Force SIG next door to it. This is something you see at a lot of shows. This is a massive, massive airfield with loads of different aircraft from, yep, you guessed it, the United States Air Force. The F-117 and F-22 next to each other here I think are really, really cool. And the F-15s have some really unique artwork on them. Even though their wings, they're both very, very different. I think that's really cool to see. A really lovely stand actually, even though I'm not super into USAF aircraft. We've got Bomber Command next, and I think the Manchester is what stole the show for me on this one. Although the Victor in sort of, I think it's prototype scheme, isn't it? It does look really, really cool. We saw this one quite in depth with Telford, so remember to check out the Telford video if you haven't done so already, because that has a lot of these clubs in even more detail. But obviously it's a bit older. There's the Victor there, and here is the Manchester. There's something about a Manchester, it just looks right, you know? And a Canberra, which, how can you ever say no to a Canberra? Next to stand again, with the crayon stands, we have West Riding. Riding? I think it's Riding. Either way, I really love the Tucano that you see in the middle there. That's probably my favourite thing on display here. And I think I actually got quite a good picture of it for once. The Stylus display on this top shelf I just thought was really, really cute. And here's the Tucano in the Lest We Forget scheme, and the mirrored base on it, you could just see it so gorgeously. The Golden Centenary's sort of anniversary scheme on the Snowbird there, the CT114, and we've got a Supermarine Attacker next to a Spitfire. We're heading over to Rill then next, so again, Welsh model clubs. You never see you at a lot of shows I go to, which is really nice to see here. I guess obviously we are in quite close proximity to Wales in Bolton, sort of North Wales anyway, so it's good to see a Welsh club here anyway. This Mosquito looks so nice. I don't know, this was a really nice display again. It was one of those which wasn't too cramped, so you could see everything really clearly and everything got to stand its ground. I love that they had such uniqueness, because they had an amazing, amazing submarine, which you've seen, and we'll see in a lot more detail in a moment. And I love these figures of the Germans just building snowmen. I just thought this was kind of heartbreaking. The submarine just, wow. I can't imagine doing something that detailed. Amazing. And that was a Revell kit as well. And then the lunar landing, which I think it was also Revell. I love how they did that diorama. It just looks absolutely superb. We're here at Stafford next then, and they are always such a lovely bunch. They're always really lovely to talk to. They're very open, and I'll approach you if you don't speak to them. If they see you looking, they'll talk to you, which is always nice to see some engagement from the clubs, because it can be really daunting sometimes asking questions. I'm sort of used to it by now, but I know it can be quite scary to go, hey, what actually is this? I know these coaches are all scratch built there, and I just love them. I think it's such an amazing amount of dedication and work to build them. They just look cool. And I think, if I remember correctly, he said they're not actually that difficult to make either. The C-130 here as well, again, absolutely stunning in the desert scheme. and they've just got such a good sense of humour as well. Staffordshire Moorlands Club here. There's a couple of things on here that really took my eye, including an Alizé and the BA65, which I for some reason didn't take a picture of, but you can see it front and centre there. There's Top Cat here as well, a couple of Warhammer figures. This is just a club that has a lot of variety to it and celebrates variety, which I always think is awesome. So yeah, the Alizé, which I've got one to build, really excited to build it. It's something you'll see later on in the year. Top Cat here, it looks so good, doesn't it? They nailed the cartooniness of it. And then the PZL P11 up here. We now moved on to the Black Sheep Yorkshire Modelers, a club which tends to poke fun at itself quite a lot. Every time I've seen them, they've seemed to be quite full of cheer, which is always nice to see. They're finishing to such a high level of detail as well, and such high standard. It's amazing. I really love their aircraft that they do. It obviously is my focus. That's the main things I do look at. I've got a couple of Italian examples here that I thought were just absolutely stunning, particularly because I think Italian camouflage is quite hard to do. So the RE2000 here, and then following up from that, we do have an SM79 as well at a larger scale, and I think they nailed the camouflage on both of them. They look amazing. We've arrived at Wakefield then, heading out towards the end of our journey. We're now upstairs and display. Black Sheep were also upstairs, by the way. I just forgot to say that they were. And the thing that caught my eye here, look at that. The World War I camo for Germany was insane and so hard to capture, and they nailed it. And Jetstream there as well, and a Spitfire with the original 2-blade propeller, which I always think looks really, really weird because I'm so used to seeing the 3-blade propeller. This stand was absolutely huge. I was amazed how big this stand was. And this was SES, KU and Hemworth Model Club. I think this is one of the biggest stands I've ever seen at any show ever. Not a club I know a massive deal about, so if anyone has any information on them or wants to leave any information, should I say, then let me know. But obviously, if you're in the vicinity of Hemworth, you probably know more about the club. Love the fire going on in that diorama, and again, this was quite a busy stand, so I didn't want to get in the way of people. I always try and let people just do whatever they want. Some people like apologize to me because I'm trying to film, and I'm like, no, I want you to carry on. Like, I'm not here to get in the way. I don't want to be in the way of anyone. Obviously, we had to get a picture of the Victor because, I mean, how can you not? I loved the scale of this from Jason and the Argonauts. Like, stunning. We're now at Lancashire IPMS, and they had a lot of World War I aircraft at the front. Again, really nice to see. They were actually talking to someone whilst I was there about sort of the aircraft you get, the scales you could get the aircraft in, and sort of what manufacturers are best, which is always nice to have, knowledgeable model makers helping people get into new subjects or even into the hobby itself. Ship there as well. The rigging makes me feel sick because I could never do something that skilled. And then we had some World War II aircraft, another A400 in Luftwaffe SIG, which I think looks gorgeous. I'm not going to focus too much on it though, because we did have one downstairs as well, but I love them. I love them so much. Got a Spitfire here with a highlight next to it. It's amazing. The ship, I love how they've got sort of the explosions next to it being shot at. We've got this Richthofen dedication Typhoon here, and yeah, amazing. We're now heading over to the Nomad Model Club, and this is really cool. Everything's sort of different dioramas. Obviously, there's a couple of unique pieces there, like the submarine and the ship, but a lot of these are dioramas, particularly from films that you'll recognise as well, which I think is really, really cool. There's something with The Walking Dead, which I really love that show. I struggle to watch it now, I don't know why, but I used to absolutely adore that show. Just look at that. Absolutely amazing. And then we've got the Home Guard here, which is some bolt action figures. So that's the Home Guard. I'm going to call this a Dalek minion, which is terrifying. And the cheesiness of the Old War of the Worlds, which is so bad, but like, it's bad, it's good, right? This is the club with no name that we're going up to next, and unfortunately the lighting wasn't the best back here. Most of the club had most of the show, should I say, had relatively good lighting, but a couple in the corners at the top wasn't the best. So the pictures probably came out a little bit better. Obviously the Sea King here in the stunning yellow, 70 years of life life-saving service. They look really nice. It's just unfortunately the video doesn't come out particularly well, but there's not really a lot we can do about that. We now head over to a sci-fi and fantasy club, and they are from South Lakes, and I adore this, particularly the Terminator stuff at the end. I love Terminator. I played a lot of the Terminator video games, including things like Dawn of Fate, which has so much story in them, and I'm a total Terminator nerd. So yeah, I loved seeing these on display, particularly because that's from Terminator 2, which is, you know, still probably the best Terminator film. Got some Daleks from, was it Remembrance of the Daleks, where they had the two factions fighting each other? I think that's the one it's from. And then following on from that, we head over to Washington Model Club. This FW190 getting, I'm assuming, service, looks amazing. And these sort of mini airplanes sort of remind me of that game, is it Bomber Plane Engineer? This excavator, so dusty, it looks so good, honestly. In person it looks even better, it just looks so dusty, it's unreal. We've got the 40th anniversary tribute to the Falklands here, or the Harrier. I didn't seem to get many pictures of this, and a couple of them come out really badly, so I'm only going to focus on the video here, but I know for that large-scale Airfix Harrier, he said that the entire front end, I think it's sort of cockpit forward, they scratch built. They redid it because they weren't happy with the original kit one or something. It was just something I overheard whilst I was there, but just the Harriers on display here, including the prototype Kestrel, just stunning. Absolutely amazing display. Again, we saw them at Telford if you do want to see more information on them. We're now at Caen Model Club, C-A-E-N if anyone wants spelling, and if I've said it completely wrong, then I do apologise. But this is, again, quite large scale, quite diorama heavy, but they look so cool, don't they? They just have so much personality to them. Well, this one's obviously a bit more sad, but you know what I mean, there's a lot more to them. So we're now at North Riding's model display, and I just noticed the F104 in the background, I wish I'd got. Again, they have a tribute to Revell here as well, which is really nice to see. A lot of kits you don't necessarily see so popularly on model displays around the country, particularly things like the C160 Transall. That's something I don't think you see too much, and I think it's such a gorgeous plane. It's like a mini Hercules from back in the day, a project between Germany and France. Got the Mirage here that in Belgian colours are just superb, and this is Junkers JU 280, I want to say. Got the North England Airfield SIG. They're really talkative as well. I remember speaking to them quite in depth at Telford. They're really lovely people, and this is just sort of anything and everything from Northern England Airfields, as the name sort of suggests. Took a couple of pictures there, again, quite a busy stand, so I was just sort of at the edges trying to get the pictures of things that I could, and the things that really caught my attention. So we've got this Handley Page Jetstream at the front, we'll get a close-up of, and the Valletta. But yeah, lovely display, everything's so vibrant, and they've obviously done things that they've got a tie to, which I think is really cool. I love seeing stuff like that. It warms your heart. That's what modeling's about, isn't it? It's getting stuff that you're passionate about onto the table, really. After that, then we've got Sheffield Model Group, and again, a really lovely variety of things on here. This Turkish aircraft, I never think you see enough Turkish aircraft, but Turkish P40 should I say here, and then one of the old wingnut kits, that's a DH9. A Betty here as well, Japanese aircraft, looks really well. I love the chipping on the wings there. Now, I'm very biased, but this is probably my favourite SIG and favourite stand at every show I go to. It's SIG 144, so it's everything that's in 144 scale. As they sort of said to me themselves, they're essentially many clubs in one because they look at everything at that scale. So what you'll see on the table today are a couple of different things. So they've got obviously this Delta and research section here. They've got the sort of project cancelled stuff at the end, so stuff that should have been but wasn't. But yeah, they try and capture so many different things, and I always think it's such a stunning display because there's so much stuff that's unusual, and this is a really space friendly measure. So if you live in a small property, or you're sharing a house, which is so common these days because, housing crisis, this is the way you can do modelling, have enough room, and you can just pop this on a shelf. It can be a shelf on a desk, it could be a shelf under a desk, it could be anywhere. And I really love that this SIG exists to showcase this because it's such an underappreciated scale, and a lot of people feel 144 isn't, isn't the true scale. And although I'm someone who builds 1/72nd, I can appreciate the amazing work that goes into these, and I'd be so proud if I had the skill that any of these modelers have. They're absolutely incredible. So obviously we're looking at the prototypes here. This is what I was saying, a sort of project cancel, an industry of prototypes. So not necessarily cancelled. Got a tribute to Mira here, the Ukrainian aircraft that was destroyed, and then a Belgian trimotor, which I didn't really remember about, so I'll need to have a look at that one in more detail. The Spearfish, which is not very successful, and then this water-worn diorama that's like a tile size that looks amazing. Honestly, I don't know how they do it. I love these scenes as well. Like, I want to say this is sort of a castle or churchyard in this park. Like, the flowers, the vibrancy, the children playing on the equipment, it's just amazing. I honestly, I don't know how you do it. You guys are beyond me. The MiG project here that I have one of those in 1/72 to do with the J20 in the background, and an Avro Canada arrow here as well in sort of the actual prototype scheme. BZ10s that I'm always going to put in whenever you display them, because my dad flew on them along with the C-130. I know I've shown them countless times, but I can't not show them. You bring them to show SIG 144 and I'm going to show them. We've got the Air Cadet group here. Again, unfortunately, a couple of photos didn't really turn out too well. They were in a bit of a dark spot as well. It's me though, it's not like my camera's error, it's entirely user error, so I do apologise, but at least I got some nice footage of them. Finally, we have the Red Dragon modelers. These were the final thing I saw of the day, just because of how I went around the whole place, but for many people this could have been the first thing they saw upstairs. Obviously the Italian job thing in the middle, the diorama, is the thing I think looks absolutely stunning. Amazing work. I can't not. And I'm glad they put things out that, you know, a lot of people might not want to, but it shows that every modeler of every level should be proud to show their work, because it doesn't matter how well you others think you do. All you've got to do is make yourself proud, right? So I was just going around to try and get some, you know, footage of traders, to try and show what traders are available, because a lot of people have asked me before, you know, it'd be nice to see what traders there are, see who's around. So I've tried to get as much information as I could. You do have the usual people here, so places like Models for Sale, who I spent way too much money with, Mr. Models. We've got a lot of other places that I'm not as familiar with, so I've just gone around and tried to show them. Some of them I didn't have necessarily names out, but they were busy trading, so I didn't ask the names because I'm a bit anxiety ridden about doing that. But hopefully you can see them all on here, and you know, you can go and find them for yourselves. But I tried to do a whip round. It's the first time I've ever done a whip round trying to show all the sort of vendors, and I'll be honest, I didn't feel particularly well by this point in the day. I think I'd stood out in the cold a bit too long at the start, which is my own fault. I didn't take a coat with me, I just took a little sort of jackety jumper, and that's my fault. But yeah, I've tried to show as much as I could. It's always worth coming to these, whether you need supplies, whether you need paints, tapes, whatever you need, you're going to get it at these shows. But yeah, I think that just about does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me at Bolton Model Show. Sorry if it wasn't necessarily as good as my other videos. I tried my best. I had some stuff happen on the same day as well, so this video is a bit later going out than I would have liked, but I hope you've enjoyed it anyway, and I hope to see you at the next show. Thank you so much to my channel members as well, particularly those who are on the higher tier, which is Explosive Water and Crazy Loga. If you want to support me, make sure to hit the membership button, and if you don't want to pay anything towards it, I understand everyone's priorities are different, but you can support the channel just by hitting that subscribe button, which is completely free, and you can like the video as well, and share it if you really want to as well. That's also really cool if you can do that. Thank you so much for being here again, and I'll see you next time.